conservative, and they've decided that we're going to glorify the events of 1968 at the Democrat convention, that the police beating people up was justifiable. They call the people out here filthy hippies. They call us Marxist street thugs, and I'll be honest, I am a Marxist street thug myself. But you don't have to be pissed and furious about the police misconduct that has continued since the 60s to this day. There you go. They just beat her brother. This is something that happens to people every single day. When they beat the demonstrators up at the Democrat convention in 1968, I think those officers knew that many years later, in 2003, they would be beating up demonstrators who protested against wars many, many decades later. I think when they killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, the Black Panther leaders, in 1969, right here in Chicago, I think they knew they would still be killing anti-police brutality activists like May Molina Ortiz in 2004, many decades later. They were just going to teach the next generation of officer how to repress, how to beat. And we have decided that we're going to be out here to teach the next generation how to videotape, how to document, and how to fight back.
They're saying that there were no shots fired during the entire convention. That's what they're saying. Do you know anything different than that?
To my knowledge, I don't even know if there was a gun drawn. There was one person was killed, but it had nothing to do with the convention. And to my knowledge, there was not a gun drawn or a shot
They're using
fired.
that as a show of a sign of restraint. All those cops had guns, none of them drew it, they were restrained.
These people were out to punish. They were out to punish people who believed differently, who were legitimately protesting, who were apparently disturbing Mayor Daley's idea of the order of the city. This was punishment through police clubs, police harassment. They were restrained enough not to murder anybody.
Mayor Daley tried to kill me. Mayor Daley have these men out here today ready to kill us. One false move and we're dead. Me especially, because I can't run. So I came here willing to die. I came here ready to catch up with Mike. Because I'm going to continue speaking out against injustice. Because I'm not free of death row. Death row will always live within me. And I will continue to speak out against offenses and a flawed system as long as I live.
Were you at the 2003 demonstrations? The Iraq War?
Yes, I'm one of the organizers of COWI, what's called Chicagoans Against the War in Iraq.
Comparisons?
There were some comparisons. It was nothing like 1968, but it was clearly a police department organized to harass. They were surrounded by cops in their Ninja Turtle armor, and they had horses and so on. So they were clearly harassing the demonstrators, but certainly, except in a few corners, there was nothing like the mob violence.
It's important to note that this mayor is completely unrepentant about what his father did. And that's bad enough, except for the fact that he's planning on trying to bring the 2016 Olympics here. Some of us remember how his police behaved during the transatlantic business dialogue meeting they had here a few years ago. Any number of people in this crowd have been arrested by his police for taking part in anti-war actions, not unlike 1968. The largest mass arrest in Chicago history at the start of the 2003 invasion of Iraq.
Andy, let's go.
As we said,
Fuck the police! 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 Fuck the
the FOP, and particularly those members of the FOP who do not want to be stigmatized by those cops in 1968, who don't want to be stigmatized by those raiders in 1969 who murdered Fred Hampton, who don't want to be stigmatized by those officers on the Burge who tortured over 100 men. We call on the FOP, we call on the city of Chicago, and we call on all fair-minded citizens to say to the FOP, don't lie about the history. Don't lie about what happened in 1968. Don't lie about what happened in 1969. And don't lie about what happened in those police stations under John Burge. And finally, don't lie about what's happening to our citizens, particularly our poor and minority citizens, on the streets of Chicago every day. Right now. New Critical Mass has joined us. We have some more speakers out to Critical Mass.
It doesn't specify whether or not I have
Out of my
to leave.
49 years being in Chicago, it's uncalled
It
for.
says as needed.
I've witnessed meetings.
Not the time, the area.
I've nearly escaped meetings and twice. The 22 years that I've been out,
I think he's right.
I've monitored the beatings.
And on the count of three, we're going to close out with Power to the People 3 times as a little cheers for all those who've been slain by the Chicago Police Department and police everywhere. 1, 2, 3. Power to the people! Power to the people! Power to the people! Now let's start marching. We're going to go